Hey guys, what's good? I am super excited to be doing this video today. All right, you guys have seen this watch a lot, the venerable Sinn 556A RS, but recently I was able to trade for the Sinn 556i. Now, I have done a video on the 556i. That was a while ago. That watch was since involved in a trade, and so I never had these two watches together until now. And so I wanted to do the definitive video comparing the Sinn 556i and the 556A, because I feel like it's a decision a lot of people have to make. You know, which one of these is the right watch for them. And we'll just go over some similarities, some differences, and then hopefully it'll give you all some insight into what makes these watches so great, how they're similar, but also how they're different. So I've got them set up just about the same way. So both of them are on sort of brown leather straps. It is leather, it's just an embossed alligator. And you can see that they are, well, I mean, they're the same watch basically with some differences. So they're both, you know, that perfect 38 millimeter diameter. They both have 20 millimeter lug width. You can see that they both have identical movements. You know, they both have see-through case backs, that beautiful gold Sinn rotor. And I have set them to about almost, about the same time. So, you know, that kind of eliminates that difference as well. Both have, you know, really beautiful dials in their own way. They're both black dials, but that's one of the first differences. They're not exactly the same black. This is the 556i, and what you see as I move the dial around like that is that it is it's a highly reflective dial. Like the dial really reflects light, whereas the A, you can see, is a matte colored dial. So the dial does not really reflect light that well. Let's see if you can see the difference when I put them together. So you can see that, if anything, the 556i is a blacker black. This is almost like a really dark gray on the 556A, but it's a highly reflective dial, whereas this one is well, just a matte dial instead of a reflective dial. So that's one of the first big differences. So the Sinn 556i is shiny and the 556A is more of a matte dial. Cases are the same, you know, that bead blasted stainless steel case, and they both have drilled lugs, which I really love, and just makes the watch just really easy to use. You can see that my 556i that I got does have a fair amount of wear, so, and that's okay. I mean, these are working man's watches, and so honest wear is always appreciated. Look at the crown side on both of them. You can see, yeah, just the same perfect watch on both sides. So one difference is gloss dial versus a matte dial. They're both fine. I mean, they both kind of work. It just depends on, you know, what works for you and what look you prefer. Let's see. Another big difference, of course, is the A has Arabics at 12, 3, 6, and 9, while the I has indexes all over. So the A is a combination of Arabics and indexes. You can see that there, while the I is all indexes. And, you know, the honest truth is that they both have very symmetrical dials. So they both look, you know, terrific. But, you know, it just depends on how you like to read your time. You know, the A, or the Arabic dial, is kind of more synonymous with classic Sinn, I would say. The I is not, I mean, of course, the I is also iconic, but the A, you know, that's 656, one of their original watches had this Arabic dial. And so, you know, it just depends on what you like, but it's a big difference. You can see the Sinn branding on both is simple, just one word. But, you know, there's only that one word on top here, and then of course both watches, sorry about that, both watches are have the made in Germany. But, one other difference is that maybe not a lot of people remember is that the 556i has one other word on it that the A doesn't, and that is the word automatic, AUTOMATI, and it's not C, it's K. So, it's one word. It doesn't make a big difference, but it is true that the 556A has a quote-unquote cleaner dial than the 556i. That would be, I guess, indisputable. It's got one less word, or it's got 50% less large writing on the watch. And so let's see. The final difference I would say between these two watches is the placement of the date. So this is where it gets a little complicated. You can see on the I, in my left hand here, you can see the date is at the traditional 3 o'clock position, whereas on the A, the date is at the 4:30 spot. Both are fine. The 4:30 spot, obviously, so that they did not have to chop the 3 off, and I like that design choice, honestly. I wonder if the 556A would be even better with no date whatsoever. I've always sort of thought about that and make it more like a quote Explorer style dial. But y'all know I really like dates on my watches, and so for me, I really like having the date, and it's very unobtrusive at 4:30. It's a little bit more obvious, I think, at 3. I think your eye is just naturally drawn to that location. I also think, let me see if y'all agree, I think the date is larger on the 556i than the 556A. See, these are the small, subtle differences that you can't really tell in online pictures, but to have the watches side by side, you really notice a difference. And I would say the date is larger on the 556i, and the date is smaller on the 556A. The other difference between these watches is that this is the ARS that I have, so it has the red seconds hands, whereas the 556i is just the standard version. There's an IRS as well. But otherwise, I think both watches are just really superb. They wear perfectly, and I really like them both. If I had to tell you like impressions of each, I think, say that the 556i is overall a dressier watch. Not to say that it's a dress watch, but the watch certainly comes across as more of a refined watch, or a watch that you could maybe wear, I don't know, with a jacket and tie. Not that I ever wear a jacket and tie, but it does come across as something that could be more dressed up. The A, I feel, is kind of unapologetically, tool watch. It's really purpose driven. I think the other thing that's important to note is that the I comes in a lot of different dial variations. There are a few with the A, but really the I has a lot more variations. Okay, I'm going to try them both on wrist, but I hope this video gives you some insight into two just beautiful watches, or maybe one beautiful watch in two different versions. All right, give me a second. Let me put these on my wrist. Okay, I'll be right back. We are back, and let's try these on and kind of see how they fit. So first up is the A, and they're going to fit the exact same. They really are. They're going to be, they're the same case, same style and everything, but you definitely notice the Arabics quickly on this watch. They can be spotted across the room, so you're like, oh, that's interesting. Those are really big Arabic numerals, especially for people that don't know watches very much. So it's kind of more eye-catching in that sense. It's a little bit more immediately visible, which of course is the point with a tool watch. And so that's the A. And let's try on this new, to me, I. So there it is again. And then let's see if we can see if there's any big difference between these two watches on the wrist. They both wear perfectly, of course. They're like the perfect watch, basically. They don't wear any differently to me. The eye is certainly a little bit less, in your face. In your face is not the right way to put it. It's definitely more subtle, I would say, whereas the A is much more, hey, this is a tool watch. It's made for one thing. We need immediate legibility. Both have 100% legibility, of course, but I hope you can see the difference as I have them both on. All right, guys, listen, I know I make a lot of videos about my Sinn 556, but I mean, in my defense, I feel like this was a really necessary video. A lot of people debate which of these watches to get, I think, because they're both excellent. There are no bad choices. I mean, heck, I have them both. But, you know, whenever I see these videos comparing or discussing the 556, they invariably only have either the A or the I. And I said, wow, listen, I have a chance to do a video with both the A and the I, and hopefully it gives somebody out there on the fence about which one of these would be the right one for them a little bit more information, maybe a little bit more insight. They're the same watch, but two really different versions. You know, this isn't an either or. So I mean, they're both perfect. I mean, they're both awesome, and I would strongly recommend them to anybody who's interested in Sinn. I think they offer such tremendous value.